Beijing Military Parade and Tianjin SCO Summit 2025. On September 3, 2025, Beijing became the center of global attention. At Tiananmen Square, military convoys rumbled through, intercontinental ballistic missiles rolled under the blazing sun, and on the grandstand sat Xi Jinping alongside Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong Un, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It was a new family portrait of world politics, dazzling yet layered with hidden meaning. But the real question is this: beyond the optics, where is the international order heading? The answer lies partly in Tianjin, where the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, held its summit at the very same time. Leaders adopted the Tianjin Declaration and more than 20 other documents, including plans to establish a SCO development bank and a 10 billion yuan support package for upcoming projects. The theme, SCO on the move, was not just a slogan. It was China's way of signaling that this is no longer a peripheral forum, but a tool for building a multipolar order. If Tianjin provided the political and economic backdrop, the parade in Beijing was the stagecraft. China showcased its GJ-11 stealth drones, the massive AJX-002 unmanned submarine, the LY-1 laser system, and DF-5C intercontinental missiles. These displays were not just for the domestic audience, they were meant for the world. They conveyed that China wants to position itself at the same technological level as the United States, not merely compete in sheer numbers. Yet behind the applause and the camera flashes, one must ask, is there enough financial and technical capacity to turn spectacle into substance? This question grows sharper when we examine China's goals. Beijing is pursuing three clear objectives: first, to shape a multipolar order; second, to push forward the internationalization of the renminbi through what it calls the Electro-Yuan, especially in energy trade; and third, to show that it cannot be isolated while so many leaders still come to Beijing and Tianjin. But reality lags behind rhetoric. The renminbi still accounts for only around 4.5% of global transactions, a distant figure compared to the US dollar and the euro. Meanwhile, Putin came with a very different mission: to prove Russia still has allies and exits. Moscow and Beijing signed a legally binding memorandum for the Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, stretching more than 2,600 kilometers through Mongolia and promising an additional 50 billion cubic meters of gas per year. Gazprom even pledged to boost current flows from 38 to 44 billion cubic meters. But here lies the catch. In 2024, Russia already supplied 21% of China's energy imports, double the share in 2021. The numbers reveal growing dependence on Beijing. The pricing, however, remains unsettled, and experts warn this is more of a political win than an economic one. In other words, Russia needs China far more than China needs Russia. At the same time, Kim Jong Un's presence on the Beijing grandstand sent its own message. After reports of North Korean artillery shells and missiles heading to Russia, Pyongyang now seeks to break out of isolation by standing shoulder to shoulder with Moscow and Beijing. It was a reminder to Washington and Seoul, North Korea still has cards to play. Then there is India. Prime Minister Modi attended the Tianjin summit to maintain influence within this Eurasian framework, yet he kept a deliberate strategic distance. In 2024, China-India trade reached $138.5 billion US dollars, while India-Russia stood at $68.7 billion. These figures illustrate New Delhi's balancing act. India needs to be in the SCO so as not to be excluded, but it also prioritizes ties with the US and the Quad. This is classic hedging, keeping an exit door open at all times. Step back and look again. The image of Xi, Putin, and Kim side by side is undeniably powerful. But beneath the optics, interests diverge. North Korea wants to break isolation. Russia must sell its energy. India keeps its escape hatch, and China dreams of a new financial infrastructure. Each actor views the SCO through its own lens. That divergence is the organization's Achilles heel. This has implications beyond the summit hall. For ASEAN, Beijing's message is unmistakable. China wants to be at the center of a new order. But ASEAN also recognizes the fragility within the SCO. For the West, the reminder is sharp. The contest is not only in Ukraine or the South China Sea, but also in finance, energy, and technology, where China is building parallel systems. So, What remains after a week of summits and parades? A striking photograph, powerful messages, and a paper alliance. But the true strength of any new order does not lie in staged images. It lies in whether countries are willing to share costs, losses, and risks to keep it alive. China can draw the map of multipolarity. Russia can build pipelines. North Korea can break its isolation. And India can hedge its bets. But will they all move in the same direction? That question remains unanswered.